Autism is the best base in MMA. Autism is the best base MMA.
John Jones и Хамзат Чимаев. Сейчас сошлись рукопашные. Кто кого?
Listen to him scream, dude. Listen to him scream like that. Get out of here, John Jones. You don't belong in Chechnya, dude.
Hey. No video.
Kiss him. Give him a big smooch, John Jones. I know you want to. He's probably hard as a Chechnyan rock right now. Oh! Autism. Welcome to the Dynamite Gizmo Podcast, everyone. Episode 277. Episode 277 of the Dynamite Gizmo Podcast. Can you absolutely freaking believe that shit? Because I can't. I can't fucking believe it, dude. And here's today's card. It's tradition around here to show you the card, but it's not tradition to show you what's on the card, but you'll find out anyway because we'll talk about it. And I actually don't have today's card because if you remember in the last episode, I said we were going to utilize the cards section as my fight prediction sheets. But I don't have any fight prediction sheets this week because there isn't a card this week. There's 2 more cards left. There's 2 more fight events in the year of 2025. And then that's it, brothers and gentlemen. Then that's it. We have UFC 325. What are we on? I don't even know. Is it 324? 325. How do I not know this? It's 323. Oh. Of course it's 323. What else would it be, dude? God damn it. Okay? It's a bummer. It's a bummer that there's no UFC this weekend. But we get the final pay-per-view next weekend, 323. Merab Dvalishvili versus Peter Yan, or should I say Piotr Yan. And then we have also Alexander Pantoja, or should I say Alexandre Pantoja, versus Joshua Van.
Never ever believe yourself and give up.
Joe Rogan! I'm back!
Okay? And then after that, we get a shitty Apex card. It's actually not a bad Apex card. It's a somewhat good Apex card. But that's what we got. And then 4 weeks of nothing. 4 weeks of nothing. And at the end of the show, I'm going to talk to you about what we have planned for the Dynamite Gizmo podcast for those 4 weeks of nothing. But before we do that, let's get into what we have to talk about today. And there isn't much, because again, we're getting to the end of the year. So I really only have one segment to cover today. So sit down, strap up, and get ready for a very, somewhat, not exciting, not a lot going on episode, but we're going to touch on some stuff. We're still going to do what needs to be done because that's what you do. You show up and you get the work done. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but I changed the camera angle a little bit. I'm looking at myself in the monitor here. You can't tell, but I can tell. Okay? I want to start showing the desk a little more. I want the desk to be involved in the Dynamite Gizmo podcast. It used to be in the beginning, and then it went away for a while. But now it's back because I want to start putting stuff on this desk. I'm going to start getting collectibles and bobbleheads and Yagameds and Magomeds. I'd rather have less Magomeds than more on here, but you know what? I got all this space too. I can put all kinds of stuff here. I can put it here and here. I got all the space in the goddamn world. And we're going to utilize it, my friend. We're going to utilize the fuck out of it.
My balls was hot. I understand.
Thank you, Joe. I understand you as well. And also, I should mention, if you go to the UFC Fight Pass website, UFCFightPass.com, I believe it is, and you go to sign up for a membership, okay, a monthly membership, if you use the promo code WELCOME, all capital letters, welcome, in the promo code section, you will get 2 months free of UFC Fight Pass. That's right. Dana White is feeling a little generous this magical holiday season, and he is giving away the UFC Fight Pass free for 2 months. So you can watch that final shitty-ass Apex card for free. And whatever other couple ones we have in the new year in January. Okay? So you might as well utilize it while you can. Unless you're in the States, because by that point, you're going to have access to the Paramount deal. And unluckily for me, I live in Canada. Canada. I don't have access to those privileges, unfortunately. But don't worry, I'll still find a way to watch it. No, not illegally, Gregory. Don't talk about it like that. I would never, ever, ever, let the records be shown, I would never, ever stream UFC illegally. Let the records be known. Let the records be shown. I said it here, right now. I always legally watch the fights. Always. Now let's talk about, I want to talk about lightweight and welterweight. That is our first segment of the day. We're going to jump right into it, fuckers. Okay, because we have no fight prediction sheet to go over. So let's get into the first segment of the day. Lightweight and welterweight. 2 divisions completely bottlenecked with contenders. And I seriously mean that. Okay? Right now, lightweight and welterweight are the 2 most congested divisions in the UFC. And I've talked about welterweight already, and I've been talking about welterweight a lot. But I need to talk about both welterweight and lightweight. Both are stacked with contenders. Both have chaotic title pictures, and both are heading into the new year with more questions than answers. We started this year believing Arman Tsarukyan was finally going to fight Islam Makhachev. That was supposed to be the fight, until Arman missed weight, forcing Islam to fight Money Moicano. Renato Money Moicano, dude. With the bitch coin. And then came the next twist. Everyone assumed Ilia Topuria might move up from featherweight to challenge Islam at lightweight in a super fight. But right as Ilia arrived at lightweight, Islam left the division entirely and took off to welterweight. And now here we are, heading into the new year with a completely scrambled title picture. Ilia must defend his title. He has multiple candidates lined up, and who knows if it's going to happen in January, but that's the assumption. That's what everyone's thinking. Arman himself just won this past weekend, and Arman himself remains the most logical and lineal option. He was the number 1 contender going into the proposed Islam fight before the weight miss, and he stayed number 1 all the way into this past weekend's fight with Dan Hooker. After beating Hooker, he kept his number 1 spot. But then we have Justin Gaethje. He's threatening retirement if he doesn't get a title shot. The problem, he simply does not deserve one right now. He does not deserve a title shot. He lost to Max Holloway in April 2024. He has fought only once since then, and is riding off that 1-fight win streak, which was over Rafael Fiziev. Good win, but not enough for a title shot. And then the final contender, the one everyone's talking about. There's Paddy Pimblett. Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. The most rumored matchup of all 3 of these guys. Ilia and Paddy already have the legit beef. They've been talking trash for a long time, and they literally crossed paths this past weekend in Qatar, which I have the footage right here, which I would love to show you. if you haven't seen it already. They have crossed paths in the past, but this was just recently. So why don't we take a listen and watch together?
What's happening, guys? Yeah, man. Come on, chill it, so calm down.
Okay. Let's just leave it like that.
So nothing crazy, okay? He called him a chorizo, as he usually does, which I don't even know what that is. Is that a Spanish cuisine? Is that like a Spanish pastry? I have no idea. But I don't know if it was Ilia or Ilia's brother who called Paddy a pussy, but someone did. That's... You know Paulo Costa? This is his secret juice, dude. That's Paulo Costa's secret fucking juice. Anyway, to add fuel to the fire, Paddy was mysteriously launched from rank 8 to rank 5 without even fighting. This looks very much like the UFC is steering him towards a title shot because of his draw power. Look at his last 3 opponents. We had Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green, and Michael Chandler. All older, out-of-prime fighters. They aren't real tests for a title run. They're gatekeepers. That matchmaking fast-tracked him to the spotlight. And after beating Chandler in April, he was sitting at number 8. Then suddenly, right before the year ends, right before the new Paramount deal launches, a deal likely headlined by Ilia Topuria, he magically lands at the number 5 ranked position. It doesn't take a fucking genius to see what they're fucking maniacally whipping up here. Arman deserves the shot, but the way things are lining up, it feels far more likely that Paddy, the Paddy Pimblett, is going to get it. Now, don't get me wrong, Ilia versus Paddy is a fun fight, and it's a fight that I would love to see, but just not yet. We're not ready for that yet. That's not it. That's not the fight. Let Paddy fight Gaethje in a title eliminator and give Arman the first crack at Ilia. But the problem is, the UFC's not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They want to sell. They want to entertain. Okay? But we got to talk about welterweight before we get into that aspect of it. Because welterweight is in the same fucking boat as lightweight. But almost to even more of an extensive degree. I've been talking about welterweight a lot lately, as I did mention earlier. But after this weekend's co-main event, we need to break it down even more, my guy. The division also has a clogged pipeline of contenders. Ian Garry's win over Bilal Muhammad shot him up to rank number 2, right under JDM, and in this case, the rankings actually make sense. Bilal was number 2. Ian beat him, so Ian becomes number 2. Fair enough. Ian won, but he didn't win impressively. 8 of his 10 UFC victories are by decision. That alone isn't disqualifying. He wins consistently. He's sharp on the mic, and whether you love him or hate him, he draws attention. Okay? I know there's a lot of people out there who just love to shit on Ian Garry. They say he's annoying. They say I don't want to listen to him. They say he's a boring fighter. He's a decision fighter, yada, yada. But when it comes to him on the mic, yeah, maybe you find him annoying, but he's saying all the right things. He's doing exactly what needs to be done in every aspect of the sport in terms of talking on the mic, getting as many fights as possible, winning as many fights as possible, and winning the top contenders in the division to rise all the way to the top. Calling out the next guy in line. Everything he's doing is in the proper steps and the proper order in which you need to do in order to get a title fight. But the elephant in the room here is Shavkat Rakhmonov. Shavkat was originally lined up to fight Belal for the title in December of 2024. I don't know if you remember. But Belal got injured. That opened the door for JDM to fight in May of this year. So instead, Shavkat fought Ian Garry in December of 2024, and according to Shavkat, he entered that fight injured, and he made the injury worse and required multiple surgeries afterwards, yet he still won. That's the biggest factor here. Ian Garry is undefeated except for Shavkat. Shavkat is undefeated overall. And he's planning a return early next year. He's 19-0 with only one decision win. Every other win that he's had is either a submission or a knockout. And that one decision win was against Ian Garry. Many, myself included, believe Shavkat is the only one who could truly give Islam the hardest fight in the division. So is inactivity really the only thing holding him back from a title shot? I'm talking about Shavkat. Because if it wasn't for the fact that he's been out for a year, he either would have had the title by now or right there going and getting the title. And up until this past weekend, Shavkat was still ahead of Ian Garry in the rankings. Now Ian sits one spot ahead of him. All right? But then we also got on the sidelines Michael Morales and Carlos Prates. They are in a perfect position for a title eliminator. Either one of them could fight for the belt next, but realistically, they should fight each other. They are the two most exciting welterweights out there out of the entire group mentioned so far. When you look at everything together, this is the most realistic scenario. Ilia Topuria will probably fight Paddy Pimblett. Entertaining, but not deserving. And Islam Makhachev will probably fight Ian Garry. Deserving, but not very entertaining. This is the UFC. Yes, these are elite athletes fighting for real stakes, but it's also, as I've said many a time in the past, sports entertainment. Star power, storylines, personality, marketability, influence. It all is something that is determined when it comes to matchmaking. And I'm not saying these fights are guaranteed, but it absolutely looks like that's the direction things are heading. Which contender do you actually think deserves the next title shot more? Arman Tsarukyan at lightweight or Shavkat Rakhmonov at welterweight? Or neither? Oh, I inhaled some dust. Some people are even thinking Kamaru Usman. And I'm not talking about just Islam himself. Carlos Prates even said he thinks Kamaru Usman deserves the next shot. That's crazy, dude. If we take a look at Kamaru Usboy, where's the Us? Come on, bitch. Let me see where you're at. Welterweight. Kamaru Us is right here. Let me take a zoom in here. Number 8. Number freaking 8. And you think Kamaru Usman deserves a shot? Now, don't get me wrong. Kamaru Usman has done a lot in the welterweight division. But who are the guys he's faced? Yeah, he had multiple title defenses in a row. But if we look up Kamaru Us, the Usinator here. Let me just go to his topology. All right. And I'll just do a little zoom in here. Okay. So he joins the UFC in 2015. He gets a win over Haider Hassan, a win over Leon Edwards, a win over Alexander Yakovlevich, a win. He has a win over Sean Strickland. I bet you didn't know that. Win, 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 win. Then he takes the title from Tyron Woodley. What is this? Unified? Why isn't this? Yeah, he unifies the title against Colby Covington, which I don't understand how that happened, but okay. Second title defense against Jorge Masvidal. Third title defense against Gilbert Burns. Fourth title defense against Jorge Masvidal again. Fifth title defense against Colby Covington again. Loses the title to Leon Edwards. Loses again to Leon Edwards in another title match. Then loses to Khamzat, and he's running off a one-fight win streak against Joaquin Buckley. Is that enough to get the man a title shot on top of being number 8 ranked in the division? I don't think so, my friend. I don't think so. The sport moves fast. We move on fast. What we got to do, what makes the most sense, I'd say, throw Ian Machado Garry up there. You know, feed him to the wolves. He's not going to win against Islam. That'll give Islam a record of having the most consecutive wins in a row. Okay? And maybe have Shavkat fight in between there. Maybe have Shavkat fight on the same card. And then when Shavkat wins against whoever he fights, then Shavkat will be up against Islam. And if you really want to do it, which would be crazy, but we could put Kamaru Usman against Shavkat, which is fucking crazy. But Shavkat would definitely win that. Carlos Prates against Michael Morales, see who's the title contender out of those guys. There's all kinds of options we can do right now. All kinds of motherfucking options. We're not putting the Nigerian Nightmare way up in there right now. And we still don't even know what's headlining UFC 324 in the new year. We don't know anything that's happening in the new year. We don't even know what fight nights are happening. But I have a sneaky suspicion that next weekend, during UFC 323, at some point during it, they're going to announce something. They have to. There's no way they're not going to. They'll announce at least one fight, I believe. And there's rumors floating around the paper mill or whatever the saying is that Sean Strickland is going to fight Fluffy Hernandez, which would be fucking awesome. I'm also hearing Arnold Allen against John Silva. That would be fucking awesome. But that's really all we got right now. There was before we get into the last segment, there was some other news, other news schnips going afound. Sorry, did I say that correctly? I don't think I did. Ali, oh yeah, you know what? Actually, we were just talking about Usman here. We got to jump back to Usman here. So we all know that Ali Abdelaziz he's the Muslim Brotherhood fucking manager. He also manages Justin Gaethje and a bunch of other fucks. But he also manages Kamaru Us. All right, he manages a lot of fuckers. And he's getting on the old X platform. And he's tweeting things like Usman is next. Everyone needs to relax. And then he also tweeted, Usman will be in the UFC Hall of Fame. He is the greatest welterweight of all time. He will always be relevant, and he will always be a legend. He is the man who has earned everything in this sport, just like Khabib, Islam, and those who took the long road. So this man is really, really, really pushing for Kamaru Us to be next in line to fight for the title. Now that really means nothing, okay? Yeah, he is the manager, but is he going to make it happen? I don't know. And I'll tell you this. Even if, for whatever fucked up reason, Kamaru Usman is the man who fights Islam next, it doesn't matter because nobody's beaten Islam. All right? We can get it out of the way now. Nobody's beaten Islam. But if for whatever reason, Kamaru does, that'd be fucking wild, dude. then maybe he really is the best welterweight of all time. I don't know. And then we have Sean Brady, since we're on the topic of welterweight here. Sean Brady was on a podcast. I don't know if it was his own podcast, but he's saying that he wants to move down to 155. West Till Death posted this. Sean Brady is thinking about moving down to the 155-pound division after his loss to Michael Morales. He claims it depends on whether or not he favors the UFC's next matchup for him at welterweight, but he loves the idea of facing some ranked opponents at the lightweight division. I got something to say about this. I think that's absolutely crazy, my guy. Brady, I think you're insane, my dude. What exactly are you going to do to be able to cut down to 155? Sean Brady is a massive shit brick house of a man. He is a wide, big motherfucker. He's pretty big for the welterweight division itself. So what exactly are you going to do to cut down to 155 in the lightweight? You're going to have to chop off some limbs or something. How is he going to possibly make 155? And if he does, he's going to struggle to the point where when fight night happens, he's going to be too weak. Okay? And I don't think after one loss, the guy's 18-1 now, I believe. He was undefeated. He has one loss in the welterweight division. Don't just go running down to the next weight class because you don't like the next matchup. You had one loss, dude. Stick around for a bit. See if you can turn it around. Don't just immediately run away, okay? Don't just immediately run away when things don't go great for you. I mean, look at Dan Hooker. Okay? Dan Hooker had his loss, and he knows he had his loss. But you don't see him crying about it. He mans up to it, and he's ready to do what he knows his only option is, and that is this.
Well, you've got to face the cold hard truth, so you're probably never going to get hands on the title. But I'm going to hang around as long as I possibly can and ruin as many people's hopes and dreams as I can, because if I can't have nice things, no one can. Cheers.
You see, he knows his space, dude. He knows what's up. And I gotta agree with him. His chances of getting the title are basically zero at this point. You know? Because if Ilia stays the champ, which he's probably going to, Dan Hooker's not beating Ilia. And if Arman somehow becomes the champ, Dan already lost to Arman, so that ain't happening. So there's not a whole lot Dan Hooker can do, especially being that he's almost at a retirement point in his life. So he knows his role. He is going to stay in the lightweight division as a gatekeeper and, like he said, ruin people's dreams. And I think that's his only option. And I'm glad he sees that, and I'm glad he's staying to do that. Because someone's got to do it, and he's at that point where he has to do it. There was also this in the news. Tai Tuivasa. We all know Tai Tuivasa, the heavyweight chunky motherfucker. And I couldn't fucking believe this when I saw this. And I'll show it to you in a second here. But we all know that Tai Tuivasa has been in the UFC for a bit. Let's look at his record here before we get into what I want to show you. Okay? Oh, no, that's not what Tai Tuivasa. All right. Tapology. His name's Bam Bam. Okay. Oof. Okay, he's been in the UFC since 2017. Win, lose, win. He was on a 5-fight win streak, winning against Derek Lewis even back in 2022. And then since then, he's been on a 5-fight losing streak. Lost to Cyril Gahn, lost to Pavlovich, lost to Volkov, lost to Tybura, lost to Rosenstruck. And these are legit guys. Okay, if you're going to lose, those are guys to lose to. But the thing is, I feel like Tai Tuivasa's got one more fight left in him. And if he doesn't win that fight, he's getting cut from the UFC. There's no way. There's no way they can hang on to this motherfucker. And the last time he fought Rosenstruck was August 17th of 2024. All right? And he's been talking a lot about coming back to the UFC. But we've been looking at this chunky monkey, and we've been saying, dude, you're way too fucking fat. He was well over 300 pounds for a long time after that Rosenstruck fight. He really let himself go. And he kept saying, I'm coming back. And nobody believed him. And I still didn't. I didn't believe him. Right up until very recently, when I saw this. Who is this man? I can't even believe this is Tai Tuivasa. Until you zoom in and you look at his love handle tattoos and you go, oh my God, that is Tai Tuivasa. That doesn't even look like him. Look at how much weight this guy's lost. He's fucking ripped. He's fucking ripped, dude. He's locked in. He is locked in and he's ready to go. I think he's coming back. And you know what? If he wins, Tai Tuivasa might be back on the heavyweight bandwagon. Maybe he could actually become a legit contender. Is he even ranked right now? He's ranked number 12. Okay, so who knows who they're going to put him up against? Maybe they'll put him up against Ante Delija. He's fought everybody else. Maybe they'll put him up against Shamil Gaziev. They're not going to put him up against Waldo, because Waldo has fucking skyrocketed in the rankings. Honestly, Waldo's almost at a point now where he could fight Tom Aspinall. Waldo might even be the next fucking heavyweight contender against Tom Aspinall after Cyril Gahn. Which is crazy. To think that at the beginning of this year, he was ranked number 15. And he's fought 5 times, and now he's ranked number 5. And honestly, the fight against Ante Delija, I thought that was a bit of a horseshit maneuver. It was a weird one, especially right after Tom, but we don't have to get into that right now. Okay? What else do we got? Oh, I guess more heavyweight news. Lots of heavyweight news here. How do I open this up? It's not really UFC. It's kind of UFC related, but our boy, Chris Barnett, has... we all know he got cut from the UFC, but now he is officially signed with Karate Combat, and he will make his debut December 5th. So when is that? It's literally next Friday. Next Friday, our big boy, Chris Barnett, is making his debut in Karate Combat, and I'm stoked for the man. The UFC's a little too advanced for this Chris Barnett fella. We love Chris Barnett, but I'm curious to see how he does in Karate Combat. Maybe he can go up against Smiling Sam Alvey at some point. That would be nice, but we'll see. Anything else? There's one other thing. I talk about this picture a lot. Remember that famous picture from 2012 or whenever it was of all the I'm loving it. Of all the champions in the division sitting up on stage, yapping and yarking. Well, someone photoshopped it and put all the current champions up here. We got Tom Aspinall, Alex Pereira, Khamzat, Islam, Ilya, Alexander Volkanovski, Merab, Pantoja. Look at that lineup. Beautiful. We're back, baby. We're back. It's nice. This would be fucking fun and hilarious to watch. I absolutely agree. Thank you, ACD MMA, for posting this. I love it. I almost want to put it as my backdrop on my computer. I really do. Yeah, so next week we've got UFC 323. right? That's the number. So, yeah, we'll wait till next week to talk about the main and co-main event and what I think's going on and predictions, and the fight prediction sheet will be available and all that stuff. There's lots of good fights. Henry Cejudo, Peyton Talbot, Brandon Moreno, Tatsuro Taira. We got Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. Meh. Another good one. We got Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. This is going to be one to look out for. Marvin Vittori versus Bruno Vieira, the Hulk. This will be a decent one. Edson Barboza, Jalen Turner. That one won't be too bad. There's a few good fights on here, but we'll talk about it next week. The one final thing I want to talk about, this is the final segment of the episode, is the plans for the end of the year. It's almost the end of the year, and I want to talk about what's in store for the Dynamite Gizmo podcast. As I said, we only have 2 more cards left in 2025. A lot has happened this year, both in the UFC and with this podcast. And it feels like the perfect time to reflect on how far things have come. This channel has evolved from completely random topics, life stories, and whatever ideas I could get my hands on, to exclusively UFC-focused content. And ever since that shift, not only has my fan base slowly grown, but my enjoyment of making the podcast has grown as well. It's been a slow rise, but a steady one, which is the one key ingredient, the one thing that matters the most. I'm extremely hopeful that this will eventually become self-sustaining, and it genuinely feels like I'm witnessing the early stages of that progress right now. For years, I've waited for this channel to grow into something real, and now it feels like we're finally approaching that hill. But I'll save the sappy stuff for the true end-of-the-year send-off, because right now I want to go over what's officially in store for the end-of-the-year episode. From here on out, I am launching the first annual Dynamite Gizmo Podcast Year-End Special. Since the UFC has no events after the second week of December, this gives me the perfect window to launch something new. The first annual year-end special edition of the Dynamite Gizmo Podcast. So what is this event? It will be a special episode where I break down all the biggest moments from the year, both from the UFC and from the Dynamite Gizmo Podcast itself. And here's what I've got planned. First on the list is the UFC Year-End Review. I'll kick off the special by going through the UFC's 2025 highlights, including best fights of the year, craziest finishes, biggest surprises, chaotic news that has happened, and much more revealed on that topic. Next up, we'll have the Dynamite Gizmo Podcast Rewind. I'll shift the spotlight onto the Dynamite Gizmo Podcast itself, with categories like most satisfying, this came true prediction, the fight prediction sheet misses of the year, the most accurate fight predictions, and there's a bunch of other stuff involved. I don't want to completely spoil the surprises. Whoops. Oh, I jumped all the way to the top. Isn't that nice? Next up, we'll have the Maple Lightning Round. Okay, y'all remember Maple? So, we'll have the return of Maple. I'll rapid fire 15 to 20 questions at Maple based on predictions for 2026 or major events from 2025 and see how she answers. Who knows? Maybe she'll be insanely accurate once again. And I will start bringing Maple in more readily because I always forget to have her. Number 4, we'll have the official 2026 champion predictions. I'll go through every current UFC champion and predict who stays champ, who loses their belt, who moves divisions, who retires, etc., etc., etc. There's way more things, but I don't want to spoil all of it. And then finally, the big finale. The first annual, and I'm excited for this one, the first annual Gizzy Awards. To close out the special, we'll hold the Gizzy Awards ceremony, where I hand out unofficial awards to fighters, moments, and events from throughout the year. These will include categories such as KO of the Year, Biggest Letdown of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and many, many more. There are so many more categories, but I do not want to reveal them all because I do not want to spoil the surprise. And I may still add more events or segments to the lineup that I just listed entirely. But as of right now, this is the plan, and I'm officially starting production on this today. So expect the year-end special to drop Wednesday, December 17th. That'll be the one. That'll be the one. Or I might wait until Christmas. I don't know. But there's a lot to plan for this. There's a lot in store, and I can't wait to do this. This is going to be the biggest event in the entire planet. There is nothing better than this on the whatever. It's the first of many to come, so it's going to be rocky. There's going to be some bumps. There's going to be some hiccups. It's not going to be perfect. But as the years go on, it will get bigger and better. And hopefully someday it'll turn into something massive. But this is the first year of it happening. And this is the first year of consistently exclusive UFC content from January all the way to December. And I can't believe it happened. And it's such a great success. And I am seeing a consistent growth every single week, every single upload, which has never happened on this channel ever before. And it's so nice to see. But we'll get into that at the end of the episode. Anyway, that's it for this episode of the Dynamite Gizmo Podcast. There wasn't much to talk about because it is the end of the year. And things are slowing down in the UFC. But that's okay. We're getting ready for the holidays. So if you enjoyed this episode of the Dynamite Gizmo Podcast, remember, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Do what needs to be done. See you later!